let's start your standard costing and variance analysis. I think mahaba-habang discussion to, no? And ayan, so let's start. When you say standard costing kasi, it's actually an accounting system used by some manufacturing company or any other company din, no? Hindi lang naman siya manufacturing company. That is to identify the differences or variances between ano ba yung tinitingnan nating variance. So number one, your actual cost, yung actual na nagastos mo versus yung dapat lang sana or yung standard costs mo. Now, the cost that should have been incurred is called your standard cost. And ayan, sa screen nyo, makikita nyo kung ano ba si standard cost. These are actually your realistic estimate of cost based on analysis of both past and projected operating cost and conditions. So, meaning ine-estimate mo siya. So, si standard mo, these are actually your norms or your benchmarks to do your measuring of performance. So, under your standard costing, hindi ka lang nagme-measure ng dapat mong nagastos versus sa actual mong nagastos or na-incur na cost. You also measure the performance and effectivity or efficiency of your different departments sa isang company. Let's say si production, si purchasing, si labor force. Titignan mo yung performance ng bawat division mo. Now, when you say standards, nagkakaroon tayo dyan ng standards for your quantity and your standard for your cost. Now, alam naman natin, and I know, natakal nyo na to under your cost accounting, when you say standard costing, papasok dyan yung material price variance, material quantity variance, lahat ng mga variance nyo, you even have your overhead variance na madami. So, isa yun sa mga madugong topic natin, okay? Now, under your standard kasi, dito kay standard costing, meron tayong dalawang klaseng standard, di ba? In actual practice, you have your ideal and then your practical. Kapag sinabi mo kasing ideal, parang hindi ka nag-welcome ng any inefficiency or meaning, this is your theoretical standards. Dapat walang mali, dapat perfect. However, when we do accounting and when we do in actual practice, we do your practical standard. Kasi kung mag-theoretical standards ka, syempre, marami ka talaga magiging unfavorable variances dyan. Now, ngayon, para maging practical, balik tayo ulit dun sa definition kanina. Gumagamit tayo ng past and projected operating cost and condition. So, yung standards ni company, we base it on our past experience. Magkano ba sa tingin natin yung average na purchase price? And in the future, sa tingin natin, mag-i-increase ba yun or bababa ba siya? Yun, ganun siya. Okay, so under your standard costing, papasok din dito yung tinatawag nating management by exception. Now, when you say management by exception, ito yung sinasabi natin na si management dapat ini-investigate na yung mga important or significant variances, whether unfavorable or favorable. So, meaning, hindi mo lang imbestigahan kung bakit unfavorable yung material price variance mo. Dapat i-check mo din kung si favorable variance, baka masyado namang malaki yung difference nila kahit favorable siya, i-check mo pa rin siya, baka mamaya masyadong mababa nga yung cost mo ng pagbili ng actual compared sa standard, baka mababa na din yung standards ng material na nabili ninyo. Yun yung kay management by exception. Alright, so what else do we have in standard costing? Of course, the purpose of your standard costing, number one is to establish budget. So, by the way, meron tayo kasi kay management accounting your standard versus your budget. Now, kapag sinabi mo kasing standard cost, it is on a per unit basis. Tandaan mo to ha, kapag sinabing standard cost per unit basis. Now, when you say budget, sabi niya dito, establishing budget. Si budget kasi, in total na yan. So, makita mo yung budgeted FS mo, budgeted income statement. Di ba in total na yon? Yung nakapaloob dun sa mga in totals na yon, naka per unit yon kung paano niya in-estimate. Nakasali si standards mo doon. Okay, what else? To control cost, to promote cost reduction, and of course, your effectivity and efficiency in the company, to simplify costing procedures, to assign cost to inventories, and as one of your basis for establishing bids, contracts, and your selling prices. So, lahat ng ginagawa mo sa company mo to compare actual versus something, yung something na yun yung tinatawag mong si standards. That's your benchmarks or your norms. So, when you do your standard costing, you have your standard cost, of course. Number 2, you have your actual performance. Kasi silang dalawa yung i-compare mo later on. And then you get your variance between the standard and your actual performance. Alright. So, later on, makikita natin na yung different formulas mo, yung different approaches mo, kung paano mo pwede i-solve yung variances mo. And on your screen, pinakita ko na din dyan paano ba ginagawa ang standard costing. Of course, you prepare your standard for cost performance. You do your analyze variances. When you do your analyze variances, ibig sabihin tapos ka na. Meron ka ng actual performance. And then you identify the question. Saan mo kukunin yung question mo? Dun sa variances. O, bakit mataas yung cost mo ng labor mo? Bakit mababa masyado yung ganito mo? Yun yung mga question mo. Another is you question also the managers in charge. Hindi mo lang i-question yung mismong amount. Question mo si purchasing manager. Uy, purchasing manager, bakit masyado yatang mababa yung cost ng pagbili natin ng material? Baka naman ma-compromise yung quantity or I mean yung quality ng product natin dyan. So, those ones rin. And then your labor manager, labor force manager, HR manager. And then, from them, identifying the question, you will receive an explanation and then you take your corrective actions. And then, another period of operation, then another standard costing ulit, another analysis ulit. Ganon lang naman siya in your standard costing. Now, dito kasi in accounting or, you know, in managerial accounting and in your cost accounting, we are more on the values. And yung explanation, mas ma-apply mo na yan later on your actual field of work. Now, let's start muna paano ba siniset ng company ang kanilang standards. Okay, so let's just try to set this one. Meron tayo kay materials. Alright, so let's start with handkerchief company. Handkerchief company has a signature scarf for ladies that are very popular. Certain production and marketing data are indicated below. So usually ganito naman siya, di ba, kapag magsusolve ka under your standard costing. Alright, so cost per yard of cloth, andyan siya. Allowance for rejected scarf, may role yan mamaya. Yard of cloth needed, air freight, motor freight for customers, purchase discount, and your sales discount. So sabi nga dito, the allowance for rejected scarf is not part of the 0.475 yard of the cloth per scarf. Rejects have no market value. Materials are used at the start of the production. Calculate the standard cost of cloth per scarf that handkerchief company should use. Now dito, as we go on with our topic, I'll already have my solution para hindi na tayo magsusulat or magta-typing pa. I'll just have to explain to you. Ang tinatanong niya again, the standard cost per material mo. So, saan ka mag-i-start ulit? How do you measure again your material or your inventory? Parang sa financial accounting lang yan, your purchase price. So, you start with your 40 pesos. Tapos, isali mo si freight. So, you have your 1 peso. It is here below. And then, your purchase discount, again, kung tatandaan mo to pinag-aralan mo sa accounting mo, yung purchase discount, para lang siya sa purchase price mo. So, that is 0.03 times 40. Okay. So, that is 1.2 peso na deduction kasi discount siya. And then, you have your standard cost per yard. So, meaning you have 40 plus 1 less 1.2. That's 39.8. However, ito, yung measure na ito, yung para sa whole pa yan. Ngayon, ang tinatanong niya kasi, para dito lang sa part na to, si 4.75 yard. Now, mag-work back ka, sabi niya 5% kasi yung reject, so meaning 95% lang. So, that is 0.475 divided by 95% or 0.95, you get your 0.5. That is the standard quantity per scarf. Ngayon sa isang scarf, ibig sabihin, ang standard cost mo ay 0.5 times the 39.8. Alright, so ganun lang siya. Sometimes, madami pa actually problem na mga ganito. Kailangan mo lang ng comprehension siguro and then on how you will be able to understand each problem. Okay, so itong kanina, wala yan kasi galing naman na to kay supplier, sales discount to customer, you're going to disregard this one. Kasi unahin natin yung sa atin. Ang kinocompute natin yung standard of the company. So meaning, ang gamit natin is, eto, tama pala, itong kay sales to customer ang hindi kasali. Okay, so let's go to your next one, direct labor. The following direct labor information pertains to the manufacture of part R78. So, sa isang part, meron kang manufacture. Ito yung part na yon. Now, dito naman, we set the standard for the direct labor. Ano ibig sabihin nun? So, let's say, gagawa ka nitong part R78. How much hours ba dapat ang kailangan and at what rate? Ayan. Now, ang tinatanong niya ngayon sa atin, yung rate ng labor cost natin. So, number of hours required to make a part is 2.5 direct labor hours. Yun na yung standard niya. Now, the number of your direct workers, you have 75. The number of total productive hours per week, 3,000. And then weekly wages rate of your workers, you have 1,000 pesos. Sabi niya pa nga may fringe benefit treated as direct labor cost. So, kasali yan mamaya. Dito siya sa solution. Kasali siya. Ang tinatanong niya ulit, what is our standard direct labor cost or yung direct labor rate natin? Now, magkano yung weekly wages per worker? Sabi niya 1,000. And yung fringe benefit niya doon, you have to account for this one first. Your 25% of 1,000 is 250. So, ang weekly direct labor cost mo, 1,250. Okay. Ano ang labor cost per hour mo? 1,250 divided by 40 hours. And then, direct labor cost per unit is 31.25 times 2.5 hours. Etong 2.5 hours, nabanggit siya dito kanina. Yun na yung mismong standard hour niya in making your part. Sa isang part na yon, 2.5 direct labor hour. Now, itong direct labor cost na standard natin, minultiply niya dun sa standard direct labor hour, kaya nakuha natin yung standard cost per unit na to. So, per unit yung ginawa niya dahil 2.5 hours ang isang unit, tapos ang standard cost natin is 31, your total per unit of R78 is 78 pesos and 125.